Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Another weekend of matches in the books, another game of should we blow this team up here in the Call of Duty League. Plenty to dive into today. The standings very spicy indeed heading into the final week of Major 2 qualifiers next weekend. Very much intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Really upside the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. First of all, this from Zero. Being dropped, he says. Not actually the case, of course, but someone who was certainly at risk today was CleanX. He actually turns up a positive test right here, so as you can see, I thought this is probably ruling him out of the game. Turns out he felt well enough to play anyway. We'll dive into the Toronto versus Atlanta series, the final one of the day. Hicksy actually thought for a time he actually might be subbing in right here. That does not end up being required, but the first series of the day, the Enforcers go head-to-head, right? Slasher versus Accuracy, right? They're kind of belt. I'm pretty sure they're still roommates, right? The GA Enforcers, as they have certainly been known. Thought a cool graphic here, really, that LAG come up with. They've been doing a pretty decent job lately on their socials, for sure. But again, a very interesting series. Of course, I'm sure Aches was coming in here, very much hoping the Seattle wouldn't turn up quite as well as they did against, of course, OpTic and FaZe not long before that when they beat them, and game one actually goes their way. Go for a Tuscan hardpoint, 251-52, looked pretty solid this game one, but then LAG turned it around. I saw Asim was on the flank last night discussing how they were kind of preparing well for this series, and it seemed like that was certainly the case in the Search and Destroy, building a rather comfortable lead on Berlin, a map where so far Seattle have been quite good. So again, this is the issue really for this team that I see when you compare them to a team like London, because to me, London have three very talented, new up-and-coming stars, right? Afro, Nasty, and Gizmo, of course, but Zero is also a very great player in his own right, and if the other guys kind of step down a little bit, Zero can still be there to drop a 1.3. The kind of, the issue with Seattle, and the reason why they're going to have some sort of inconsistencies here, is when the star players aren't frying, Accuracy isn't there to kind of pick up the slack. He's not meant to be that player on the team, but of course, if the star players are going to be inconsistent, this team can't really afford that to be the case, because, Zero, in London's case, is going to be there to drop crazy numbers and kind of help the team get through the hard points if their star players aren't having great maps. But if that's the case for Seattle, Accuracy isn't necessarily going to be there with the slang. That's not really his job for the team. But of course, that generally has been an issue on the teams the last couple of years that he has been on. So game 2 goes Seattle Surge. Well, it goes Seattle Surge's way in a few of the rounds, but not over the course of the entire map. 6-3 in favor of LAG at the end. I think it was at 4-1, then it was at 3-4. It looked like Seattle could bring it back, but LAG closed out. It was a couple of attempts that Accuracy had at a 1v3. One of them actually was more plausible than the other one. I think this was the final round. This didn't really come off, or didn't have too much chance in this. But there was one where he got inside the bomb site. I thought he was going to do it again, but he shot at someone who wasn't even on the bomb. He shot at a ghost, basically. And that was maybe their chance to, make a comeback and win that one. Then there was honestly, it's classic control. I just tuned out until the round 5. Round 5 was very interesting, though, because Seattle had a good advantage. They got the defense, but LAG have a nice life advantage. They get some crucial kills. Huke was a menace in their spawn, and eventually they clutched up a round 5. So round 5 offense is very rarely won on Gavutu, and that really did swing the tides of the series. Going into another hardpoint, I felt like Los Angeles Guerrillas are probably not going to win 2 hardpoints. They make the return back to Gavutu, and you can see an early advantage here for Seattle Surge, but they were sitting that towards the end of the game, and LG take this one in a 3-1 fashion. So fair play, I got the 3-1 fashion right, got the team that was winning wrong, at least in terms of the predictions this morning, and then, the outslay, it comes through from the Seattle Surge, but over the course of it, Los Angeles Guerrillas get the job done. Slasher has a good series, good to see him turning a corner to some degree in his gameplay. Huke had a great map as well in the Berlin, so finally some of the star players here, like Huke and Slasher, coming alive a little bit, having a bit of a better time. The Gavutu control and the Search and Destroy on the Berlin. Certainly Slasher and Huke have been the 2 players so far this season that when they turn up for LAG, they look pretty solid. But, they need to, right, if this team wants to compete, and maybe that will kind of turn them a corner, potentially going into this major, because, as I say, I'm pretty sure after this major, we're going to see some teams consider some moves. These are the overall stats, though, rather interesting. Like, Accuracy here was 62 kills, just not really the engagements to match where the rest of his team was at, and despite the KDs here not looking too bad, a lot of that was because of their pretty good game 1 these guys had. After that, it fell off a cliff a little bit. The slaying wasn't really there. LAG did a good job making the most of mistakes, and of course, this also was mentioned by Benji and Asim after the match. I'm pretty sure it was Pred maybe that left in the final map. You don't get the stats on the scoreboard. It's unfortunate stuff. Mack would give him a 0 and 30 in the spreadsheet, but again, Slash is there. GGC Seattle 1-3-1, maybe at least a D tier assault rifle now, right? I think he was maybe an F tier or something, whatever Enable put him in there a couple of days ago. So yeah, he's definitely coming for blood these next few series, and of course, as Ace kind of points out right here, he has been saying for quite some time that Seattle should blow it up. Still, if you are going to blow it up, I'm not really sure what you do, unless you think, okay, Clace is there on the bench right now, or do we consider a swap there in terms of the main AR? I don't really think you do, to be honest, but still, if you do blow this team up, what exactly do you do? It's not very clear what your options are, what your upgrades are, where this team is lacking, because on their day, they're obviously solid and can, take good teams the distance and even beat a team like FaZe. But when their star players don't turn up, they don't really have the firepower in the reserves. That's kind of the issue with Seattle. Not sure what they'll plan to do going forwards, but the next next series was LA Thieves versus Minnesota Rokkr. To me, a more interesting one because this, I thought it might go game 5. I predicted LA Thieves to win this one 3-1, but just looking at the map set was strange to me, right? Because they played a Bacage hardpoint game 4 when I'm pretty sure Tuscan was on the table for LA Thieves to go for. I'm pretty sure they banned it, which was a bit of a strange move, to be honest, just because they were pretty good at that map at the start of the year. I think they lost to OpTic on it maybe one time kind of recently, and I mean, since then they've kind of decided to get rid of it for some reason, so a bit of a strange one, honestly, in the vetoes, I thought. But the series starts out very well for them regardless. Honestly, I don't know how this map one was even close. Like, they started off this game dominant at the first part of this bird, and I thought, okay, this is going to be a quick series. Minnesota still looked terrible, but somehow Minnesota bring it all the way back. The game was tied, actually, Minnesota on maybe a 10-point lead. The Thieves get a nice rotation, and yeah, certainly wiped the sweat off their brow after this one, because this game got way too close for comfort for the Los Angeles Thieves, guys. They win it anyway, like, definitely a map you can't afford to lose. When you play Minnesota, if you lose game 1, you're already thinking, okay, damn, this could be chalked. Now, well, they go into the game 2, they win that as well, so all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, well, Thieves, okay, they're here to play. They won this game pretty convincingly as well. Minnesota, honestly, kind of looked all over the shop. Like, I mean, I think it was 6-2 at the end of it as well. Standy had this clutch. There were a few other moments, but yeah, again, Minnesota just looked pretty suspect. When they're losing Search and Destroy 6-2, you can't really see much hope for a team like Minnesota. But all of a sudden, they go to a Gavutu control, and this is like kind of where, okay, look, some people have suggested that, well, if you want to make a change to Minnesota, what do? You might need more pace. Some have said, okay, look, what if you put a Tatch on the main assault rifle, get MajorManiak out of there, like, switch around things, bring another SMG, just up the pace on the roster, like, maybe that's the way to go. The problem is that what MajorManiak does bring to the team is, well, an incredible amount of clutch factor and ice, and just some kind of momentum swinging factor that he seems to bring to the team in terms of the comms, and just the way he carries himself and conducts himself on the team. He's the kind of teammate you want to have when you're down 0-2. And well, Nameless tweet out, Minnesota just looks awful. The Uno reverse comes through, as we will well see. So, we go into a control. This game was a pretty close fought affair, to be honest, but the sling, honestly, LA Thieves got nowhere on their offensive rounds. Like, it was a classic Gavutu control in the sense, okay, back and forth, defense wins, boring. But honestly, like, Minnesota were way more dominant on their defense than Thieves were. Yes, of course, hopefully very soon we're going to get the change that comes through where ticks determined round 5 instead of kills. That's meant to have happened for quite some time now. Not sure why it isn't there yet, but it is what it is. But like pretty much every single offense, Thieves got shut down emphatically. They win this game on the Gavutu control, take it to a Bacage hardpoint, and this one again was like, okay, what is going on here? I was honestly surprised both these teams played this map. Like, it seems a weird one for both teams, to be honest. Doesn't seem like either team will be incredibly comfortable on this one, but still, they make it work. And it attaches a great series right here as well. Standy actually has a great map on this one, 36 and 29. That's certainly what you want to see out of him. And all of a sudden, the Thieves, from up 2-0 going into a control, they a Gavutu map, of course, they're pretty good at. All of a sudden, they're at 2-2, going into game 5 against the Rokkr team with all the momentum. So, well, basically, the same thing happened to them right here as it did to FaZe, when they were playing FaZe in the losers bracket at the Major. They go up 0-2, and they completely collapse and lose the rest of the series. So, well, as Dashy even says, mid-game 5, Major is so typical, really has never chalked for the kill. Like, he just brings this kind of mindset where when he's in that type of situation, he just always seems to turn this team around. Despite the team not looking great the majority of the time, somehow, like, they always have it in them to pull out a game 5 victory. And, well, certainly that's what happened in this game 5. Tragic for the Thieves, guys. They were not particularly happy about it. But, I mean, yeah, honestly, there was one round where Octane nearly won, but there was like a 2v4 retake they threw away. Like, honestly, just pretty shambolic. I know I like to use that term a lot lately, but it definitely needs to be said. Just watching some of these rounds from the Thieves side, like, I'm sure Jacob's looking at this thinking, what were we even thinking in some of these rounds? Octane almost did a 1v2 ninja. He was probably 99.9% of the way there, but somehow they got it off him in time. But even if Octane won that round for them, I don't really think they were doing much in this game 5 anyway. Like, a Bacage and Destroy, it's a fun watch, to be honest, because the rounds are so chaotic and quick, but it just does show which team is better prepared a lot of the time, I think, because Thieves right here, they fully collapsed. Surprised Minnesota Rokkr didn't tweet out the old, we're witnessing a breakdown right here, because up 2-0, like, all of a sudden to get emphatically just demolished in the game 5. Not pretty for Thieves, and the question is there, of course, what is this team going to do? Because now they are 0-3 so far at this stage. For both of these teams, this is a must-win series, really. Like, Thieves was 0-2, losses to London with a sub 3-0, lost, of course, to OpTic game 5, round 11, in a fashion they shouldn't really have lost. If they'd have won that one, they'd be in a very different spot. But now losing to Minnesota Rokkr in this fashion, a series they definitely should have won. Now they're 0-3 with a 4-9 map count, and that has pretty much chalked them for the winners bracket. They might still be able to make it, but it's not going to be easy for them at all. Kenny admits, like, played all for the entire series. Like, well, Standy goes on to say, we're the best, need to get my footing down at the hard point, will be so dangerous. But I mean, yeah, still, Minnesota backs against the wall, they got the job done. But really, I think this says more about Thieves and their kind of mindset and their collapse than it does about the Minnesota Rokkr, in my personal opinion. Octane says, she wasn't a happy man, as you can understand. And well, Jacob even says, no words for that one, GG's to Minnesota. So what does this team do going forwards? Again, another team where the upgrades are not particularly clear. Where they've been underperforming is also not particularly clear clear, as in like there's no one player that's an obvious trade out. We look at the overall series stats right here. MajorManiak had a cracking one, and I mean Standy as well had one of the best series we've seen in play so far this season. All across the board really for Minnesota, it was impressive. But on the other side, Envoy, like again, pretty much the best player on the team I think so far this season. No doubt about that in my mind. Drazah had a great start to the Berlin, but since then kind of fell off. And then Kenny and Octane also with pretty bad series. So what do you do to this team? How do you actually fix it up? Kenny has never been dropped, I'm pretty sure, in his entire career. Who knows if Jacob's got that in the works at the present time? Because these were the standings as they sat after that particular series. We'll talk about the FaZe one here in just a second, but Thieves 0-3 after this, like that pretty much, well, sends them into a very difficult spot to get through. And if they go out early on in this major, they've got to consider some sort of move, right? But it's just not particularly clear what at all that move is. I thought this team was pretty damn good at the start of the year. They were in almost everyone's top 3 teams in the game. Now I think they're going to drop way down the pecking order for a lot of people, and very much understandably so. This also from CDL Scump thought it was a fair point. Should start calling them Chicago Thieves, because, well, the way they've been losing as of late is certainly very OpTic Chicago fashion from last year. I guess Envoy's the common denominator there, but to me, I think he's, well, very much been a consistent player on this roster. Not sure what you do to fix it. I'm sure we'll have more discussions on this in the coming days. And speaking of breakdowns, we've got to talk about this last series, because I have no idea what was going on through maps 2, 3, and 4, to be honest. This is absolute chaos. FaZe versus Ultra. Always a good time watching these teams, but like, wow, what a ridiculous series this was. Game 1 goes FaZe's way in dominant fashion. I thought, okay, CleanX is under the weather, wasn't playing the greatest, like, especially Game 2. But yeah, Game 1, Kavuti hardpoint, 250 to 118. FaZe smoked them off the face of the earth. I thought, okay, FaZe continuing their dominant streak. Ultra very much struggling right now, especially in the hardpoints, especially with CleanX and everything going on there. I think he was playing from his own setup, like I'm not with the rest of the team. Difficult situation. But yeah, after Game 1, I thought, okay, comfortable 3-0. Ultra in a tough spot. FaZe, though, continuing the reign of terror. But yeah, the Game 2, like, I mean, I don't know what was happening here, to be honest. It's so back and forth. Some of these rounds were absurd. This one especially, there was 0.6 seconds, 0.5 seconds, I believe, left on the clock when Insight made a great play to hunt down Arcitys to clutch up a 1v2. That makes it 5-3. They then win the next round 6-3. But like, these rounds are ridiculous. The control was probably the best control I've watched so far this year. It was 1-1 off the rip, then Ultra won an offense, then FaZe had to bounce back on their next offense. Ultra had the advantage. They probably shouldn't have thrown this one away. They throw away their defense. FaZe seem to be very good at this, actually, like just on the verge of losing a series, or like, well, losing a map at the very least in this case. They seem to be able to clutch up a Gavucci control offense. They do it here, they go to the round 5, but Ultra have a phenomenal start to the round 5. Like, they build up a massive advantage. I believe the advantage was like 20-11, or even 19-10, I think, at one point. They got the B point almost straight away, like a phenomenal, like, well, opening break from the Ultra guys, but then all of a sudden they start choking their lives away, and FaZe are right back in it. Yes, they've got to hold the A point, which is harder to hold, but they had like a 12-9, I think, differential at some point. You can see here it's 7-5, but Insight makes a key play, a few key kills come down, and just about Ultra get over the line and win this Game 3. So I don't know what was happening here, like a ridiculous game of control, actually an entertaining one to watch, which is certainly few and far between. Then the Game 4, though, and this is where really Ultra should have won this series. They had a significant advantage at a point. I believe they're up at least 50 or 60 going into one of the final rotations. The church rotation wasn't the greatest. FaZe come back over here towards this P1, and the final break doesn't work out for Ultra. So again, despite almost winning a hardpoint here, I'm pretty sure their hardpoint record this season is something now like 6-14. Not great at all. They lose another one here in close fashion. Simp was going rogue. He actually went rogue as well on the Game 3. I think it was like 41 kills on that Kavuti for the loss. Breakdown after breakdown after breakdown, no doubt all across the board. And then Game 5, FaZe end up winning it quite comfortably. So FaZe seemingly making a habit of going the distance and just about getting over the line. This would have been their 4th loss of the season had they have lost. Pretty sure their 4th loss last season came all the way at the Stage 3 major. So already FaZe aren't looking great so far this year. Ultra bit of a fight, but like just what a chaotic series, to be honest. FaZe actually, this is a massive victory for them, right? Because they play OpTic still. They already lost to Seattle. They needed this victory, right, for the seeding for the major. Final series stats look like this, courtesy of GG Breaking Point. Simp with a series to remember, 1.43 over the 5 maps. So many storylines to discuss here over the coming days. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us the YouTube gods, it's a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you much as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.